In this video, we are going to be reviewing Enterprise Car Rental in our hometown of Granite Falls, North Carolina. We rented from this local branch back in June for our Minnesota trip. We are going to share our experiences with this company. Stay tuned. Well, good evening, everybody. We're coming to you tonight with another car rental review. This time it's going to be Enterprise Car Rental right here in our town of Granite Falls, North Carolina. Now, this is our fourth car rental review, and y'all remember our first one, that was Avis. That review is over 2 years old. It still gets talked about. In fact, it was mentioned on another live stream the other night. That was a famous review that we did. I outlined everything that Avis tried to do fraudulently to us, including accusing us of smoking in the vehicle, and I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. So, anyway, I don't think that would sit well with anybody, so we vowed then and there we would never rent with Avis again. We have kept that vow. Now, since then, we have done 2 more car reviews. Both of those were Alamo. We rented from Alamo Car Rental back, it'll be a year this December, when we went to Anna Maria Island, Florida. Had a decent experience. Started off with a little bit of a mistake, but after that, it was smooth. They didn't try to do anything after we turned the vehicle back in. So overall, it was a good enough experience that we went with Alamo again when we went to Texas back in April. We rented from Alamo at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And that was probably the best car rental experience we've ever had. We have a video on that as well. The customer service rep that greeted us that night, she was one of the best we've ever had, one of the nicest, most helpful. That was the way car rental experiences should be. She was everything that was right about Alamo. So we had 2 really good experiences with Alamo. So this past June the 29th, which was a Thursday, we decided that we were going to rent another car for the trip to Minnesota. Y'all have seen all the Minnesota videos. This review's a little late in coming, but we've been meaning to do it. It's just we went to Florida a couple of weeks after that. We've just been busy trying to get all those videos up. So finally getting around to letting y'all know about our experience with Enterprise. Now, I just want to say a couple of things. Like I said, we rented with Alamo the 2 previous times, and the thing about that is they are owned by Enterprise. In fact, Enterprise owns Enterprise, Alamo, and what was the other one? National. All 3 of those are owned by Enterprise. So after 2 good experiences with Alamo, we were expecting nothing less from Enterprise than a good experience. In fact, this location is only a mile from our house. It's right up above on Highway 321 from where we live, about a mile. And we could have gotten a little cheaper rate had we gone with Alamo. The only problem is the nearest Alamo to us is in Charlotte, which is over an hour away. So we had about a 1,150 mile drive ahead of us. So we did not want to have to go to Charlotte to get a vehicle, then take it back to Charlotte when we got back. So we paid the little bit extra, and rented from Enterprise right here above the house for our Minnesota trip. And that we paid a total of $799.49. Now that was for, 12 days?
Yeah.
I believe. We picked that up. I'm going to let her read it.
So we picked it up on Thursday, June the 29th.
June 29th.
And then we returned it on Monday, July 10th.
Yeah, so, yeah, 12 days. Mm-hmm. So, when you rent, usually rental car companies have a weekly rental rate, and then if you keep it beyond a week, you get charged a daily rate, which really makes the bill go up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So given how long we kept it with unlimited mileage and the miles we put on it, does it say how many miles we put on it? I didn't think $799.49 was too bad, to be honest with you. We could have probably saved $100 or $150 by going to Charlotte, but we did not want to have to do that. So it was worth it to us to get a mile rental from a mile up here above our house. So it's okay if you don't have that.
Well,
I want to say it was over maybe
okay,
3,000.
well the final was $14,923, and the starting, here's to do some subtracting, $12,149.
So basically about 2,800 miles, not as much as I had thought. So anyway, so the vehicle we got was an Audi, what is that called? Q5.
Like
Audi Q5. It's supposed to be, we had really reserved a like a mid-size SUV. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you what happened. So this is our 4th car rental experience. We had one really bad one to start off, 2 good ones. This is going to be another bad one.
So when we did it online, everything went smooth.
Very
we were
smooth,
very
yeah.
impressed with the price. We were happy with what we were getting. Everything
Yeah.
seemed to be good.
Yeah, and we made the reservation, I want to say March or April.
We always do it way
Months
ahead
ahead.
of time.
When we
Way ahead
decided
of time.
for a fact we were going to go to Minnesota, we made a reservation.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we were good. We put our reservation in, got our confirmation, got the class of car we were supposed to be getting, and didn't think any more about it. Now with Avis, it was a headache from start to finish. I mean, even after we made the reservation, y'all watched that video. We were supposed to have gotten unlimited miles. The girl told us on the phone, and then when I get the email, thank God I checked that email. We
Yeah.
were not getting unlimited miles. That was a hassle. They finally had to go back and listen to the conversation, and then they finally, you know. But anyway, I'm not going. This is not about Avis. Our Enterprise experience this time was not that bad, but it was bad. Okay.
It was kind of scary at first.
It was scary. So here's what happened. We make our reservation months in advance, and I keep checking the emails. I'm very paranoid about that now. It's like, okay, did they slip one by me? Every time I would open that email, it would say unlimited mileage, and here's the price, here's what we're getting. Thought we were good. So the day we're to leave, I think, what did we have it scheduled pickup time?
Well, back up before that, though. Earlier the week, Thursday.
Yeah, yes.
Thursday, we were picking it up, but he wanted me, I think it was the Monday of the same week we were leaving Thursday. He says, call
3
them,
days before we were leaving.
Confirm that they see our reservation.
Because of my
and also, I
paranoia.
was calling the local branch up here. Yes, we've got your reservation. Everything's good to go. So we were
Remind me to come back to that.
we
when
were
I get
satisfied
up
at
there.
the moment.
Yeah, that's Monday before we leave on Thursday, just to make sure nothing slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
Again, Avis has made me paranoid about any time I rent a car. So Thursday comes, and whatever time we had it scheduled to pick up, I want to say we maybe had a 4 or 5 o'clock scheduled pickup. Well, as it worked out, you were going to be able to get off a little earlier that day than what we had known when we made the reservation. Because when you make the reservation, you have to put in what time you're going to pick it up. So, and I don't work Fridays, so this is
Thursdays.
Huh?
Thursday.
Okay, yeah. Well, we were off Friday. We were both off Friday. Yeah, I was going to get off early that Thursday morning. I went in early, got done, and you were going to finish up, I think, around lunchtime. So I'm thinking, this is great. We're going to get on the road several hours earlier. It's 1,100 some miles up there. We're going to get a couple hours head start. So I called up there Thursday before lunchtime, and I just asked, the girl picked up the phone, kind of find out later it was the same one you had talked to. And she picked up the phone, and I said, the reason I'm calling, I have a reservation for later on today. I said, but we're actually able to pick the car up sooner. Would that be okay? So she pulls up the reservation. She says, no, I'm sorry, we don't have a vehicle. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't have the vehicle? She said, well, it's not here yet. She said, when we get it, we have to clean it out and all of that stuff. So, you know, it was worth a shot. But it's like, okay, if they don't have it, I did put in this time, so we're just going to have to wait. So that was not an issue. But as her and I were talking, now let me just say before she came on the phone, I was on hold for the longest time. And one of the things, you know how you're on hold and the company keeps playing the same, it's either the same aggravating music over and over.
Or it's their pitch
or their pitch or whatever it is. Well, this time I heard the Enterprise pitch. I was probably on hold 15 minutes. And I heard the Enterprise pitch over and over again. And it said something to the effect of, at Enterprise, we treat you like we would want to be treated. That is absolutely not the way we were treated. So I'm going to be fair about this. I'm going to tell you what happened. I promise you I'm not going to get upset like I did in the Avis. I showed myself on that one. I did show myself up there that day too, but I'm not going to do it on this video. I think I had a legitimate gripe this time. I think I had one with Avis. So anyway, she says, no, we're not going to be able to pick it up early because we haven't gotten the car here yet. It's not been turned in. So then I just happened to say this. I said, but you're sure there will be a car, right? She says, no, we're not sure of that. I said, whoa, what do you mean we're not sure of that? She says, well, we don't have the car here yet. We're not sure if there's even going to be a vehicle when you get here. And this is the day we're leaving, a few hours before we're supposed to pick it up. I said, well, now, I've had the reservation for months now. She said, I see that. I said, and also, my wife called Monday. This is still on the phone. I said, my wife called Monday to confirm, and you told her we were good to go. And she said, no, sir. I told her you had a reservation. I didn't tell her there would be a vehicle. That's probably the most ridiculous thing. But that's like calling a restaurant and a reservation. Then when you get there, say, well, we didn't tell you there'd be food. this is a car rental company. That's what you do. What did you think I was reserving? A vehicle. So I get up, so I said, well, ma'am, I don't know what this is all about. I've never had this happen before, but you can't tell me there may not be a vehicle. And we talked on the phone. I said, look, I'm going to be on up there. I'm going to give y'all a couple of hours. I'm going to come up there. So I did. I drove up there later on.
You actually stopped on your way home from work to see if there was a vehicle there.
I did do that. I pulled in there on my way home from work, and I did not see a vehicle in our class size. That's why I called. And I just thought, maybe they've got it in the garage. They're doing their stuff to it. So anyway, the thing about leaving early, it would have been nice. That was not a huge deal. That was not a deal breaker. I am the one who put the time in, whatever that pickup time was. I want to say 5.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But because at that time we thought you would have been working all day. So I drive up there, and I said, look, I don't know. The girl's sitting in there. And I said, are you the one I talked to on the phone? She said, I am. I said, look, I don't know what the deal is here, but I've had this reservation for months. I said, it is your job to have a vehicle here for me to rent. You can't tell me there might not be a vehicle here. And she just kept trying to say, sir, we don't guarantee anything. She said, this is a return-only location. I guess they depend on people to return their vehicles. So then a guy walks out. He says, here's what's happened. He says, we were supposed to have 2 vehicles in the class you've reserved turned in today, and both of the owners called and are going to keep it longer. I said, well, get me a vehicle. I said, we don't have any. Folks, we're getting ready to leave here in just a couple of hours for a 1,100-mile trip. They're telling me I may not even have a vehicle. I said, get me a vehicle. And this time I'm starting to get a little upset. And I said, look, I don't care how you do it. There are other locations. There is a location just down the road in the next town in Hickory. Call them and get me a vehicle. Here's the part that bothered me. I got lied to. He told me, he says, we have called Hickory. They don't have anything. He says, nobody has anything. The closest place that has anything is Asheville. That's an hour and a half away. And it is not my job to go out and hunt down the vehicle. It's your job to get it here. So, I don't know how to say this. I can be a little hard to deal with if I think I'm being done wrong, and you can ask her. The guy on Avis found that out. So anyway, I told the guy this. I said, here's what I'm going to do. I said, I'm going to stand right here, I said, and I'm going to ask you to call the Hickory branch of Enterprise. And you tell them the situation, and you tell them you got an irate customer, and you get me a vehicle here. So he gets on the phone again after just telling me he had already tried to call them before I came to get me a vehicle, and they had nothing. Well, lo and behold, when I'm standing there, Hickory magically has a vehicle in our class size. What do you know about that?
It was actually a bump up. It was a premium.
Yeah, it was a bump.
Premium.
It was actually a little bit of a bump up, an upgrade from what we had reserved.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was. It was not a very roomy vehicle.
No, it was more or less just like a premium class of an SUV.
But I just found it odd that all of a sudden Hickory magically has a vehicle when he had just got done telling me they didn't. So I did not feel that their slogan was being honored, that they were treating me the way they would want to be treated. And I brought that up to her. I said, I want to ask you a question. I looked at the girl. I said, your slogan that I had to listen to while I was waiting for you to come on the phone said that Enterprise treats you the way they would want to be treated. I said, if you were me, you've reserved a vehicle for a 1,100-mile drive, would you want to be treated like this? And she said, no, sir, I wouldn't. I said, okay, then it is on you guys to get me a vehicle. So he calls Hickory, and lo and behold, Hickory has something. So he said, it's not clean yet. It's going to take about, he said, I can have it here in an hour. I said, do you need me to ride with you to get it? I said, I will do that. And I said, because if I have to go to Hickory and get it myself and have my wife go, I said, you're going to cut some off the price. I said, but if you want me to ride down there with you and drive it back, I said, I'll do that, no problem. So he says, no. He says, we put you through enough. He says, I'll go get it for you. So this time they're becoming very cooperative and very helpful at this point. So my issue with them is, oh, he did say this. Now he said, that's why we reached out to you to let you know there might. I said, listen, you didn't reach out to me. If I hadn't called and asked for an early pickup, I would have gotten here at 5 o'clock and y'all told me there's no vehicle. I said, that's what was going to happen. So I said, don't tell me you reached out to me. I reached out to you. I talked to her. I'm the one that called, not them. They didn't reach out. They were just going to let me show up and tell me there's no vehicle here. So thankfully, I called early. I went up there a couple of hours early, and I said, "You get me a vehicle, and you get on that right now." So he did. He located me one. Well, he was not going to do that if I hadn't been standing there demanding that he do it. So he says, "No, you don't have to go with me." He says, "I'll go. I'll take somebody." They had somebody in the back apparently. He says, "We'll ride down there and we'll get it." He says, "Give us an hour." So I said, "Okay." So I went to Walmart, picked up some supplies, and you hadn't quite gotten home yet, so I drove my vehicle home, and just so I could get the vehicle, the rental vehicle, I drove my vehicle here home and parked it. She wasn't here yet to follow me up there, and I walked back up there. It was a mile. It's about 90 degrees that day. I walked up there. It wasn't too bad, but it was, it was a little bit of an inconvenience. So when I round the corner, I see a white vehicle sitting there, and I walked in there, and I said, "I hope you're going to tell me that's mine." He said, "That's yours." So I said, "Okay." So from that point on, it was smooth. Okay, nothing else happened. She was apologetic. He was apologetic.
And they were showing you different features.
I apologize for getting hot, even though I think listen, it's not fun when you have a reservation for months. You call 3 days before to confirm it, and they tell you you're good to go. Then they tell you something like, "Well, we didn't say there'd be a vehicle. We just said you had a reservation." Well, I already knew that, So when you reserve from a car rental place, you expect there to be a car. I don't think, if I'm asking too much, tell me. I don't know why else I would do that. So at this point, he takes me out there and he's showing me all the features of the vehicle. It's the strangest vehicle I've ever seen. You ought to see the spare tire in one of those things. It was an Audi QT. The spare tire is in the back and it's not even inflated. You have to put a pump to it.
Yeah, something weird.
Weird.
We ended up watching a YouTube video just in case.
Just in case. Thank God we didn't need it.
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, he showed me how to work certain features on the vehicle. Everything went smooth. We got the vehicle. Wasn't my favorite vehicle ever, but it drove well. It was smooth. I mean,
I like the moonroof on it.
The gas mileage was really good. I think at some point we were
Yeah.
getting like 30 plus miles a gallon.
It was really good gas mileage.
So I can't complain about that. It was a little tighter on space than what I was hoping. But we drove it up there, did have unlimited mileage, got back. So the first thing I learned from Avis when you get back is to wait a couple of weeks before you do any review and start watching your credit cards. Avis did 3 things to us. They first tried to charge us for the tank of gas not being full, which I always do. I know to do that. For bringing it back, it said 7/8 full. I had actually filled it up, I think, just a few miles from the airport, and then drove it to the airport, and that was it. So then they tried to add on another fee, and what a lot of rental car companies do now, if you go through a toll road, they try to, they'll pay the toll for you, but then they want to charge you more for paying the toll for you. Well, I can pay my own toll.
Which that happened here too.
That's what I was going to. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing they tried to do afterwards. So I knew from years past going up there that we would hit tolls in Illinois most likely. Well, back then, the last time we were up there was toll booths. You stopped every few miles and threw money in, or you handed it to an attendant and got changed. They don't really do it that way anymore. So we didn't see the toll booths around Chicago that we were accustomed to seeing. So I looked it up once I got to Minnesota. I said I didn't see any toll booths, and it said on the toll website for the state of Illinois, it said that within 14 days of traveling through there, log in with the license plate number of the car you were driving. I think that's how they did it.
Yes.
And they would tell you if there were any tolls. So I did that, I think, maybe when we got back from
You did
Minnesota.
it when we got back.
And
Within the time frame.
yeah, I think it was like 10 days. And it didn't show anything, so I thought, well, amen.
Maybe we didn't get anything.
Maybe we didn't get anything. So after about 2 weeks or so, I see a little charge from Enterprise for the toll convenience fee. I don't know if it ever did tell which road. I don't know if it was going or coming back.
It was going. They did tell me. I don't remember. I think it was right before we got into Wisconsin.
But somehow it did not make the Illinois website where I was supposed to be able to find it. And the reason I wanted to do it that way is so I could just pay it myself and not have to go through Enterprise paying it and try to get that hassle of getting an extra fee. If I could have found it on the Illinois website where it was supposed to be, I would have just paid them, So Anyway, it didn't show up on the Illinois site, but it did show up through Enterprise, and they did try to charge. Theirs was a little cheaper, I think, than Avis.
I don't think it's on this. I think it was like $3.50.
Yeah, $3.95, I believe,
Or was
because
it-
Avis was $5.95. Enterprise tried to charge $3.95.
Yeah, but I basically chatted with an agent online, and just told them, that we had actually tried to pay it online,
Yes.
so they wouldn't have to be bothered with it. She was like really nice, just waived that service charge. And, of course, we had to pay the toll because we,
Yeah,
we
well,
drove it, so
I
that's
don't
fine.
mind. I don't mind that.
But yeah, I mean, very easy to work with there.
Yeah, but it's interesting that both Avis and Enterprise, I've learned, if you protest that toll convenience fee, they will waive it. You just have to pay the toll. And neither one of them gave us flack about that. So that was, and it's been, like I say, that was July 10th. It's been almost over 2 months now. So that was the only extra charge they tried. They did not accuse me of smoking, so I do appreciate that. I don't smoke. Still can't stand to be in a vehicle where it's been smoked in. So anyway, so this was not as bad as Avis, but I will go ahead and say this, Enterprise, you did not treat me the way you would want to be treated. Your own customer reps admitted that when I asked them, because I had to hear that pitch about 20 times while I was on hold. And I don't think it's treating customers, it's not very professional. You're a car rental agency. If somebody rents a car through you months in advance, you need to have their car there. However you got to do it. Or give them an upgrade to a better class or something. You don't make them have to go through that hassle where they have to come in there and demand you find them a vehicle. And
Because really, that would have pushed us up pretty far behind had we have just went up there at the time.
yeah, and we would have ended up probably just having to take our own vehicle.
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest with you, we have 3 vehicles. Every one of them's got over 100,000 miles on it. I mean, I have confidence any of them would have made it, but I just,
Hate to do that to it, yeah.
yeah. I just, that long of a trip, I like the idea of having unlimited mileage and it not being on mine. So I kind of got to give them a thumbs down on this. They did become cooperative, but I honestly had to tell the guy, I said, I'm going to stand here till you get me a vehicle. Till I know I've got a vehicle, I'm going to be right here. And that's what motivated him. He called Hickory. He told me he had already called them. They had nothing. Then all of a sudden they have something. So, you tell me. But I was disappointed with our local Enterprise. We had rented from them in 2017. That was like spur of the moment. We called on Thursday. Our son was getting ready to be deployed to Kuwait, and he was at Fort Hood, Texas. And we found out he was going to get a couple of days leave, so we just decided on the spur of the moment to drive out to Dallas and see him one last time. So we called them. They had something. We rented it. No problem. So I thought, hey, we're good to go. Enterprise is a great company. Alamo is a great company. I didn't know how Alamo could be so good and so positive and the one company who owns them be so bad. But I was disappointed with Enterprise this time. I've never had an issue with them before. David, you mentioned on y'all's live stream last night that y'all have rented with Avis before and never had an issue. Well, we had too, and we had never until that last time. But it was enough of an issue, I'd never do it again. But we had rented with Avis several times prior to that and never, ever had any problems. And same with Enterprise. But this time,
Hopefully this was just a once, time thing.
the problem with it is I'm scared to reserve anything else with them ever again. It's like if we decide the day before, maybe we'll be okay. But I'm scared now to say, okay, we're going to need a car in 3 months. Let's reserve with them because it's convenient. I'm worried about having to deal with that again. So that would give me great pause before I would rent with them again, unless I just needed something that day and they happen to have something. I don't know.
Yeah, because their parking lot, honestly, up there isn't always full either,
No,
of vehicles.
This is a smaller Enterprise location, but they usually have some vehicles. And they were trying to tell me they had nothing that day. And there were a few vehicles sitting out there. I did ask about a minivan that was sitting there, and they said that was already reserved. So whoever had the minivan, they didn't have an issue, I don't guess. But anyway, I didn't like the way we were done. I didn't like the fact that she tells us 3 days ahead of time we're good to go, and then says, oh, but I didn't mean you'd have a vehicle. I think that's one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard made, to be honest with you. And then to get there and have to go through that just to get the vehicle we had already reserved. I did not think we were treated well. I am going to post this. I'm also going to send a copy of it to Enterprise Corporate. I want them to see that. I want them to see how their branch here did us, and hopefully they'll fix it. I hope they will. Companies need to understand something though. Without the customer, you don't have a company. You need the customer to stay in business. If you keep treating customers like that, they're not going to come back. So, am I right on that?
You're right.
So anyway, I know companies have to they have to make a profit to exist, but you also have to have a customer to make a profit off of. So that's not the way people who have a vacation plan want to start it off. So anyway, you got anything else you want to add on that?
No, I think we covered it good.
All right. So we will show some pictures of our vehicle. Like I say, the vehicle did fine, didn't have any problems there.
It was practically brand new.
Yeah, it was. The only thing I will say about it, it had it had a screen between the steering wheel and the passenger side, and it was always up. It's like
It was one of those really big screens.
you couldn't watch anything on it. You couldn't really even. We'd had to pay extra to get navigation, and I didn't really need it. So it was just there. I told her, I said, figure out a way to take that thing off or fold it down. You couldn't. It was just like that's all you would see when you're driving the road. That big screen right there. It was very annoying. I would not buy one of those cars just for that reason right there. I mean, it did fine, but I just wouldn't want one of those cars for that reason. If you have one, no offense, I just don't like the screen placement and the fact you can't do anything with it. But anyway, that's our review of Enterprise. Not a great experience. Hopefully, if I ever do rent from them again, I can come back and give you a better review. I'm going to give you a fair review no matter what. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened.
We had no issues returning it. The girl came out there, looked it over, said it looks great.
Yeah.
Turned the keys in. I mean, it was a very easy
And take
return.
it, yeah, and take it from me. If you rent a car for any reason, you're very smart, no matter who you're with. Take your phone or a camera and you go around that thing and you video and you make note of every mark that's on it when you get it, and make them acknowledge it. And I've always done that. Have never had to defend myself against an accusation of a scratch, but you know, just in case, you never know. So anyway, I guess that's it. So thank y'all for watching this. If you like this video, like and subscribe,
And find and follow us on Facebook.
and have a blessed day.